Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. We're working on this E36 vert, so kind of quirky, you know. Everybody loves the verts, everybody hates the verts. It's just such a split down the middle kind of, you know, thing on these things. But anyway, in this video, yes, we're building a roll bar for this thing. Now, this is a local buddy of mine slash customer. He's drifted it a bit on the street, but as most of you know, I'm pretty sure it's the same for tech and track, you know, safety regulations on the East Coast as it is out here in the desert of Arizona. So if you have a convertible of any sort, you need to have at least a 4-point roll bar in order to get on track. That is just pretty normal safety stuff. Now, there's not really any bolting options that I've seen or that the customer has seen for the vert. Now, that's the one most common asked question on a lot of the forums I see is, oh, you know, does a coupe or sedan roll bar fit? Now, let me show you why it doesn't. Once you got the back seats and stuff out, look at all of this structure. All of this rear firewall stuff, this does not exist on the other two chassis. The shock towers are actually down under here, so you can't even see them. Even on the when the trunk is open, you can barely see the backside. So no, you cannot fit the other ones. I mean, yeah, you can modify it, sure, but at that point, you know, you're spending the money, then if you pay somebody to modify it, just pay a local fabricator such as myself to build you one. So yeah, I already filmed this intro, but it was long-winded. Basically, I just want to jump into it. Let me show you what I've done so far. Now, customer took everything out. Seats are over there, and then I just zip tie or bungee strap the harnesses out of the way so I'm not stepping all over everything. Normally you can either build boxes but plates. In this case, because the vert has this big old shelf here, the coupes and sedans have like a cutout here, you just have the seat pan itself. I was able to do these plates instead of building boxes here, give the main hoop a little bit less height, which means less material waste, which also means the seat can sit further back. In this case, this guy is very tall, so that worked. And then what I did here is I opted to just go to the wheel arch. Now, normally you can go to the wheel tubs or the shock towers. Shock towers preferred. Some cars obviously don't allow for that. Now, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically build an X. The customer requested an X in the rear somewhere, but because this shelf thing where the speakers and all that and the structure is, it's kind of blocking the route. So I'm going to just do the X from the diagonal across, and then we're going to tie in the top to the diagonal, and then it's just going to be super cool, and then have the driver support bar here, do the harness bar along here. Simple, clean, effective. But yeah, I just want to give you a little tip though, because the gas tank's obviously under all this. I don't remember how much seam sealer's under here. I think this is double plated sheet metal. So just to be on the safe side, I like to keep a wet rag near me or the air gun, do an inch, and then cool it. And then as for the wheel tubs, those suck to weld because of all the seam sealer. So what I do is I tend to do 4 corner tacks that are nice and hot, get it to bubble up, and then I take my wire wheel and I just connect the dots. And then you have good, clean metal to weld through, and then I go through, I prime and put some undercoating spray on here, call it a day. That is very bright, turn my light on, holy crap. All right, so yeah, why am I strobing myself? Good Lord. Can I just turn this off, please? There we go. Okay, now I'm seeing spots. But yeah, material usage in this, we're going to be using 1.5" 120 well DOM tubing, as you should. Otherwise, you know, you can use 1 3/4. In this case, we're doing 1.5 inches. It's legal out here for our regulations, and we will be building onto this later with door bars and such. So let's get cracking. Bending main hoop, I use Bendtech, 2-dimensional, very easy, very simple. You don't know what it is, I've mentioned it 1,000 times on videos before. And yeah, this would be like my 4th E36 roll bar I've done aside from my own, and then a couple other local drift guys. So let's make this short, sweet. We're making it to fit the soft top because he does still have it. I just obviously had it down because it's easier to walk through the car that way. All right, a little bit shorter of an intro. Let's get to cracking. All right, well, let's get to bending this up. So, gotta put the soft top back up, get our measurements. Okay, so top's up, let's get cracking. Now, this is basically all I use. So I already have a template made up here. I just gotta change the dimensions because this is from a previous project. So basically all I'm doing is I'm measuring outside and then overall height and then the height between the 2 bends. So it's pretty straightforward. This is just how I know how to do it because technology, it helps. The other way to do it is you can do it all mechanically, measure it yourself, whatever, and then you can bend it center out. This one just kind of makes it more, you know, useful to me, makes more sense to me because I've been doing it this way for a few years now. So build your main hoop however you build your main hoop. I'm gonna get my measurements quick. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, got my measurements. That's basically what we're going to be looking like. It gives me my, you know, cut length, all my bend locations and stuff. Really useful product. It's like $80. Not even sponsored. I just like using it because I'm kind of retarded. Let's move on. Let's get this cut. Let's get it bent. So we need a 105-inch piece, basically. Salad and Go's frozen lemonade slaps, but main hoop is bent up. Fits pretty stinking well. Not looking too terrible. So pretty much I gotta tack it in place. I do have to try and operate the soft top really quick to make sure it obviously clears and can fold out of the way. I'm pretty sure it kind of lifts up when you fold it back, so we should be in the clear. But yeah, I'm gonna measure it, kind of square it up really quick, line it up, tack it up, and then I will try and get this soft top opened up. We'll see if it clears. All right, so it's holding itself. Let's try and open this somehow. Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay. That works nicely. Tuck it back down, close her back up. I'd say we're good, not bad. Sorry, my hair is wonky. I got helmet hair going on, but yeah, no, we're looking pretty good. So, slight discrepancy. I'm probably just gonna break the tacks. I may have to use a ratchet strap, pull this in, because there's just a tiny bit more of a finger gap over here, because I have a finger gap over here as well. But it's just a little bit looser over here, but I'm already touching here, and I'm touching over there. So that means that bend, one of these bends is just a little bit different. So to counteract that, just for my OCD, probably just take a ratchet strap and kind of suck things around and shift it. But that's easy. That's not gonna make a difference. But yeah, I'm gonna tweak that really quick and let's start making these rear down bars. Okay, working on this down bar. The first one, of course, is gonna be one big piece. The other part of this X is gonna be two pieces. So right here, what I did is I just placed the tube up. I eyeballed it where I wanted it to go. In this case, it's gonna go in that far corner. And I found my 0 digital angle finder, mechanical one, whatever, and then I eyeballed it to the plate down there, put the angle finder on it. That read at 29 degrees. I use a tube notcher. I do this, you know, for a living. Some of you may have one, some of you may not. If that's the case, you can go on a few different websites and get a tube notching template, or you can make the line marks. The Fabricator series has a really good video on how to notch tubes by hand. And then the other tricky part, I always mess this up, so I wouldn't be surprised if I mess this one up, but going to the other side, so I did mark my throat line essentially, so I made 2 lines. So this is the tight side, this is where it's touching the chassis, and this is where it's gapped on this back side. So I measured it. I was able to kind of snug it up by hand so it held itself, so I was actually able to get a tape measure in there. Measured about 3/8 of a gap that I have to trim, so I marked the front side, marked the back side, made my throat line so I could trace it all the way around, which would be this line coming full circle. And then I basically just went and I drew that angled from line to line. So I know that because this side's already touching the chassis, this is the side that has to get cut. So you can just cut this with an angle grinder. Basically, I'm just taking 3/8 of an inch out at an angle, and then it should tuck up nicely. And then just a nice visual. I know that my notch was sitting just slightly offset like that, and then this was touching back here. So I know that should be correct. So I'm gonna go ahead, hopefully not mess this up, angle grind it, test fit. All right, let's see if this one fits up pretty decent. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. Let me show you guys here. So good fitment there. Good fitment there. I'd say that's pretty solid. Let's give it a tack and move on. All right, so you can kind of see what I'm getting at now. Got this all tacked in. That was actually way more annoying than it should have been, just being by myself. Yeah, so I'll do the same thing going from this corner to that corner. I like to use tape as my reference line. It just helps visualize it. And then from there, I'm gonna try and tie in tubes here. I think that's what I'm gonna do. you know, just make it look a little bit more beefy. And then, yeah, the harness bar and the driver support bar. In this case, we're just doing a straight across harness bar, so that's super simple, just 2 90-degree notches. And then the driver support bar is literally just a tube that goes from that bottom corner with plus or, you know, within 6 inches of the base to somewhere here. Now, it's technically, at least according to drift rule books, it's supposed to be within 6 inches of the center of this bend. So again, you know, do at your own leisure, but I try to stay close to the rule book measurements, even if it'll never get teched in that sense. Better safe than sorry. All right, not too much later now. We made some pretty good progress. Got the X all tacked up. Looking pretty slick, slazzy, schnazzy, schlick, whatever you want to call it. It's looking something. So if you're wondering why I've gone ahead and polished the spots where I'm gonna weld, I mean, it's just good practice. You don't have to do that if you're MIG welding it. I think I'm gonna just TIG weld this just for the practice. But other than that, that's really the only reason. It looks really clean, but mind you, it's not protected now, so that will rust. Got this tube figured out. So this one's pretty easy. I mean, honestly, I don't really have a trick for this. I just kind of have a general idea of how I want tubes to be placed. Obviously, you know, that creativity side of things, but like to figure out how I did this, I literally just measured the length. I had this piece cut off from one of the diagonals. So I literally just held it up here, marked it, and then I usually just go to the tube notcher and I try to line it up with a straight edge on the mark. Pretty straightforward. And so yeah, now I got this notched. I do the same thing at that end. And yeah, we're good there. We're good there. So I want to show you guys something. You see I welded that joint right there all the way around on both sides. Now that is because the joint is strongest when it's been welded 360. And if this ever got, you know, this roll bar, any cage, any whatever, if it ever goes to get certified, they do, like, there's different processes. Some of them get x-rayed, some of them get drilled, whatever. And they basically, you need to have it welded a full 360 around each connecting joint. It says it in like every single rule book. So that's just a good habit to get into. Takes a few extra minutes, yes, but you know, stronger result in the end. So the only thing you can see is the notch looks a little kind of funky. And that is because I just had to clearance it to go around the weld basically. But yeah, we're looking good here. I'm gonna just mimic that to the other side. And then after that, just add a tube going across. That's pretty much gonna be all we're gonna do. I thought about doing something here in the middle, like some sort of gussets, but now that we were kind of getting the boxed up shape with the X, I think that's gonna be plenty. Not just for strength, but just for aesthetics as well. Looking pretty toasty. Gosh, it is so freaking humid. My hair is just a fluffed ball of grossness right now. But yeah, no, we're looking pretty darn good. So both down bars all tacked in. All that's left is to make this crossbar here, and then we can weld this thing out. And well, no, I'm sorry. I still got to do the driver support and the harness bar, but again, those are pretty easy. So I'm gonna focus on the harder one, which is gonna be this crossbar. Like, easy but hard. Harder just because the space, it's gonna be uncomfortable crawling around in here. But yeah, then the last two pieces, 3 more tubes, we'll be good to go. Okay, I just tacked in the driver support bar. Honestly, that one's always the easiest for me. I don't know why. But yeah, so now I'm about to make the tape marks for where I want the harness bar to go. This is kind of what I was trying to mention to you earlier. The harness angle is what you're kind of trying to pay attention to. So you don't want it, I think most rule books allow for plus or minus 20 degrees. Now again, this isn't gonna be spec'd, it's not a comp cage, but regardless, practice is good. Get in the mindset of doing it right the first time, even on the cheap, small stuff like this. That way you don't have any issues later when you're actually doing bigger stuff, if you ever decide to build your own, whatever you're doing. But anyway, ramble. Yeah, so essentially within 10 or 20 degrees, I usually try to make the tube run just about center with, or I'm sorry, just under center, because you got to count when people are sitting in here, their shoulders are going to bring it up a little bit higher. So I usually go basically with the bottom of the shoulder strap harness piece here, and I try to mark that out. Now that's pretty straightforward. This time, like I said, we're just doing a straight across one. Sometimes if the dude's really, really tall, you got to bend it back. That's honestly really tricky for some reason. I suck at those ones, so I'm glad I don't have to do it. Two-piece design, of course. So yeah, I'll just make a tape line across and then notch the last 2 tubes, and then we can go ahead and finish tacking this up, and then this will be ready to weld out. Pretty stoked with it so far. Really just not bad, especially for first time doing a E36 convertible. Pretty stoked, but let's finish this up. It's been a long day. All right, second to last update. We are all good to go to weld it out. Harness bar is all set up. I decided to just MIG weld it. At the end of the day, it's not like a show car, and he didn't request TIG welding it. And although I do want the practice, thankfully my schedule is starting to fill up. So this is one of those things where it's DOM, you can literally do whatever you want. But I wanted to practice for TIG welding because I like to challenge myself. But a good MIG weld will do more than efficient. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the morning. We'll weld this thing out and finish up this video. Sorry it's been kind of boring. Like this is literally just one of those things I just kind of wanted to show you step by step, not like the step-by-step process, but just kind of the day, going about it, getting it done. Well, good morning, guys. Ready to weld this thing out. I just got to the shop though, trying to catch up on my social media stuff for the business page, and I'm just really bad about posting anymore. Like, I do still like doing social media, but I'm just really bad about it. I get so caught up doing my work. So I have the Adobe Rush app on my phone, which is like, I use Adobe Premiere to edit my videos, but I have basically their phone version here on my phone, and that's what I use to edit all my stuff. So trying to go through right now and do that, catch up on some posts. I bought some Meta glasses like a month or two ago, and I've been experimenting with those. Pretty fun, just trying to wake up, got some coffee, and edit my videos. But yeah, we'll weld this thing out in a minute. Just figured I'd share this with you guys. Okay, so normally if this was a closed top car, there's kind of an order of operations you gotta follow when welding this thing out. Being that it's just a convertible, I can literally just stand here and weld pretty much everything outside of the car. I'll obviously have to get in, crawl around a little bit. But the only thing I might do is, so normally when you build it in a car, obviously to be able to access like these upper welds and stuff, you have to break the assembly out of its location and like either drop it through the floor or pull it off the boxes and shift it forward, whatever you got to do to be able to access these weld points. So the only thing that I actually might move it to access is these welds down here. But I mean, I can access them, I just wanted them all to look pretty. So I don't know, I'll probably just leave it alone just because I did tack twice back here on the ones to the plates. So it's just a, you know, order of operations thing. Make sure you're building it, and that's why I have everything only tacked with like one tack a piece. So I'll go through, lay a few extra tacks now that I'm finalized. But yeah, if this were ever to be done in like a closed top car, just remember your order of operations. That's why cages are tricky. You have to plan ahead. You got to be able to make sure you can access everything, or you have a means to access everything. Like I mentioned before, like whether that's cutting it out and dropping it to the floor. In that case, you know, ideally you have plates and you have to hole saw the floor out. I prefer the box method where it drops off the boxes, but again, you have to plan, especially when there's A-pillars involved. That's the hard part. But anyway, yeah, let's get to welding. Okay, so I ended up having to break it out. I just couldn't get the last little bit of weld down here. Pretty easy, just took a big hammer and a chisel for the back little tacks, and then an angle grinder, the ones I could access, and then a Sawzall for any other ones. So I had like 2 tacks per corner, but now we're good to wiggle this out of here. So yeah, takes 2 hands. This thing's a little on the heavy side, but you get the idea. I can just lean this forward, weld those 2 things out really quick, reposition this, clean up the tack so it doesn't hinder me, and do the base plates, and we're looking good. So not bad, looking decent. So fully welded out. It was this area, and then right here on each side that I just could barely not access. So we're all welded out. I'm gonna go ahead, slap this thing back in the car, and we'll be good to go. There's no excuses for not getting full welds. I mean, again, plan ahead. This one, like I mentioned, kind of anticipated it, but I wasn't sure, so I made it easy to go back in there, break those tacks, lift this thing out. And then to reposition it, I mean, I did just clean up the plates so they're fresh, no tack marks to line up. So in this case, I'm literally just gonna put the top up, center this back where I had it, tack it, and then that's it. There's nothing really to it. Well, it is all finished up. Looking pretty stout. Got the badge welded up. Everything's looking pretty solid. Definitely pretty stoked on this. Hopefully the customer is too. Yeah. Should clear the broomstick test just fine as well, which if you don't know what that is, sometimes tracks will literally stick a broomstick across the main hoop to the A-pillar, and ideally your helmet just isn't supposed to touch it. But yeah, no, we're looking good. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. Hopefully you guys kind of enjoyed it. Again, kind of a boring one, but I figured, you know, show the process a little bit, show the results, since there's, again, not much info on the verts. So we're looking good. plenty of space back here. Get the harnesses strapped up. He didn't supply any. Normally I don't mind installing them, like lacing the shoulder belts up for people, but yeah, he didn't supply any, so I'm sure he probably just has to order them. But yeah, no, that's a wrap. So I'm gonna go ahead. Well, I tried vacuuming what I could, but everything in here is just stuck because all the sound in there. But anyways, guys, thanks for spending some time out of your day here with me. Hopefully you find it mildly enjoyable. If you're local and you have a vert and you want the same thing done, hit me up. If you're new to the channel, you know, hopefully you want to hit stick around, hit that subscribe button, and hopefully we see this guy out at a future drift event. We got one coming up in about a week and a day, basically. From the time of this video goes up, you know, probably a week. So yeah, hopefully see you guys out there. So do what you love, forgive it the rest, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.